Have you ever wondered why shadows in space have different layers? Today we are uncovering the mystery behind Umbra, Penumbra, and Antumbra. There are three types of shadows formed by celestial bodies. Let's start with the basics. Shadows are formed when light is blocked by an object, but in space, things get a bit more complex because light from a source like the sun spreads out. This creates three distinct shadow regions: the Umbra, Penumbra, and Antumbra. Now understand why the Earth and the Moon have three types of shadows with simple experiment. First we have the Umbra, the darkest shadow. The Umbra is the darkest part of the shadow. It's where the light source is completely blocked by the object. If you are in the Umbra during an eclipse, you experience total darkness, like in a total solar eclipse, where the moon fully covers the sun. First experiment rule: when the light comes from a single point source, the object creates only one type of shadow known as the umbra. Suppose you are in a room with no windows, just a single light source and a round object, like a basketball. The light source and the basketball are at the same height as your head. You are standing directly behind the basketball facing the light, so the setup looks like this: light source, basketball, and you. Now, the light source is a small flashlight shining toward you. If you stand directly behind the basketball and look toward the flashlight, you won't see it because the ball completely blocks the light, creating a uniform shadow called the umbra. So, in general, the umbra is the innermost, darkest part of any shadow where the light source is completely obscured by the object casting the shadow. Next, we have the penumbra, the partial shadow. This is the lighter part of the shadow where only part of the light source is blocked. In the penumbra, you see a partial eclipse where the sun is still visible but only partially covered by the moon. Second experiment rule: if the light source is larger and not a single point, a second type of shadow forms around the umbra, and this is called the penumbra. Now imagine the light source is a round bulb, slightly smaller in size than the basketball. When you stand directly behind the ball, aligned with the bulb, no light is visible because you are in the umbra. But as you start to move sideways, a portion of the bulb become visible. This is the penumbra. So in general, the penumbra occurs because the larger surface area of the light source allows light from its edges to reach this region. Finally, there is the antumbra, the ring of light, a fascinating shadow region. This happens when the object, like the moon, is further away and appears smaller than the light source. During an annular eclipse, you will see a glowing ring of sunlight around the moon, a truly stunning sight. Third experiment rule: if the light source is larger in diameter than the object, a third type of shadow called the antumbra forms beyond the point where the umbra ends. In this scenario, the light source is a round bulb with a diameter twice that of the basketball. When you stand close behind the basketball and look toward the bulb, the ball appears larger than the bulb, completely blocking the light. This puts you in the umbra where the bulb is invisible. As you move further away, the basketball appears smaller while the bulb seems larger. Eventually, the ball becomes smaller than the bulb, and a ring of light surrounds it as the edges of the bulb comes into view. At this point, you have entered the basketball's antumbra. So, in general, the antumbra is a shadow region that occurs when the light source is a larger than the object blocking it. It is a region beyond the umbra and penumbra where the light source is partially visible around the edges of the object, creating a ring of light. So, these three shadows is all about the size of the object, the distance between the light source and the object, and how light spreads. This creates these three unique regions. The umbra is a fully dark shadow where the object blocks all light. The penumbra is a partially lit shadow where some light passes around the edges of the object. And the antumbra is behind the umbra and penumbra, where the light source is not entirely blocked and a ring of light is visible. Thanks for joining us on this shadow journey through space. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Thank you so much for watching this video.